A case of when the message simply doesn't sink in. India's External Affairs Minister has once again stressed that his nation is committed to having strategic autonomy in its decision-making. Here's Jaishankar at the Munich Security Conference.
We are very much wedded to strategic autonomy because it's very much a part of our history and our evolution. It's something which is very deep, and it's something which cuts across the political spectrum as well. Where the energy issues are concerned, look, this is today a complex market. I think oil companies in India, as in Europe, as probably in other parts of the world, look at availability, look at costs, look at risks, and take the decisions that they feel is in their best interest.
Now, plenty of other nations, too, put their interest out in the open during the security conference in Munich. America apparently called to bring back the imperial golden age, calling on Europe to step up and make the West great again.
For 5 centuries, the Second World War, the West had been expanding. Its missionaries, its pilgrims, its soldiers, its explorers pouring out from its shores to cross oceans, settle new continents, build vast empires extending out across the globe. The great Western empires had entered into terminal decline, accelerated by godless communist revolutions and by anti-colonial uprisings that would transform the world and drape the red hammer and sickle across vast swaths of the map in the years to come. Against that backdrop, then as now, many came to believe that the West's age of dominance had come to an end, and that our future was destined to be a faint and feeble echo of our past. But together, our predecessors recognized that decline was a choice, and it was a choice they refused to make. This is what we did together once before, and this is what President Trump and the United States want to do again now, together with you. We do not want allies to rationalize the broken status quo rather than reckon with what is necessary to fix it. For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline. We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history.
European leaders openly acknowledge that a rift has emerged across the Atlantic and that the old assumptions binding them can no longer be taken for granted.
Contrary to what some may say, woke, decadent Europe is not facing civilizational erasure. In fact, people still want to join our club, and not just fellow Europeans. When I was in Canada last year, I was told that over 40% of Canadians have an interest in joining the European Union.
A rift has opened up between Europe and the United States. In the era of great power rivalry, even the United States will not be powerful enough to go it alone.
Europe is rearming, but we must now go beyond. Europe has to learn to become a geopolitical power.
And joining me now is former director of the Indian National Security Council Secretariat, Tara Karta. Tara Karta, thank you very much for speaking with RT India. Before we begin, I want to highlight what Marco Rubio is essentially saying. He essentially framed America's foreign policy in civilizational terms and not just strategic ones. The question is, what should we read between the lines? Does the language signal a tougher, less patient America? And more importantly, could this mindset also increase the global instability?
I would say yes to both, because it is very dismaying what he's talked about. At least for us sitting here, you're talking of Western civilization. I mean, what on earth at this point of time, when we are the 4th largest economy? They're talking about the global South. You're talking about a whole China which is out there. You're talking about Russia. Where does this even come from? So it is, for me at least, that was very, very dismaying. Number 2, is it going to create more problems? I think so. From the reactions of European leaders, you see that pushback very clearly in public and saying we're not going to take this kind of nonsense. But the question, to be honest, is whether Europe can keep this momentum up. In the past, it hasn't been the most unified defense entity. You know, there have been efforts since when? Since what? Decades, trying to get this European defense identity together. And it was always wrecked by certain countries, which I will not name, who have been, been very, very sort of worked behind the scenes to wreck that emerging defense identity, which France was heading. Germany was also pushing for that. So let's see if they do it. And if they do it, the end result should bring sense and lack of war, not pushing it.
Yeah. When you look at the language, there is also America and Europe. They're openly questioning each other's reliability as well. How should New Delhi then interpret this call of Washington to reclaim, what they call leadership? How should New Delhi then interpret all of that?
Listen, Jaishankar, our foreign minister, he first talked about plurilateralism way back in 2020. Now everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
So this is something we've always done. We don't rely on any one power, and we never did, and we never will. So hopefully this is for us with the EU FTA, it's a kind of opportunity because you've got now trade deals, I think with 7 countries in the last, counting from the last year, 7 or more than that, you've got this bunch of trade, because we are basically, for this prime minister, it's all about economics. It's about pushing the country to the fore, because everything comes from that. Everything that you want to do, comes from that, and that's where we're going. And I think Jaishankar was very clear on that we will go where our interests lie. Yeah. He also uses the term informal, like-minded groups. And that's what we do, and that is what now Europe is talking about. You saw what his German counterpart said. Yeah. Yes, we have a problem with BRICS, but we can work with Brazil and India. Yeah. So everybody has to work with what they have, because this US position has shifted just about every thing that one took for granted once, that this is how things work. Well, it's not working like that anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. Tara Karta, when the United States, it moves towards sharper Western assertiveness, firstly, does that make India a partner of choice or a pressure point to choose sides, according to you?
I think it could be both, depending on the situation. If it comes to, say, a Quad or the things that Quad stands for, then it will be a partner. And we recognize that. If it comes to things that we want to do, like buying oil from where we think it's most beneficial for our economy, then it will be a problem. And we will, I think, from what we've seen so far, that will continue. Because economics decides all this. It's not some personal choice or loyalty or something. It's just plain economics. And that's what the rest of the world is doing, by the way.
Yeah. Does that also create an opportunity for India, according to you? Or for that matter, does it make the global order more unstable and more unpredictable?
It is. From the markets, what I see, the markets give you a very good idea of what's going to happen. So it looks like it's going to be unstable.
But does it also give an opportunity for India as well?
I think it does. It already has. Considering, like I said, that's why I said the number of trade deals you've done, the number of, you've got a fantastic new policy towards West Asia. Yeah. You're working with Saudi Arabia. You're working with a bunch of people across the board. You're working with the SCO. I won't say we're working with China, but, well, they are part of BRICS. They're part of SCO. So we work with whatever there is. So in that sense, it is an opportunity. We're saying if you can do it, so can we. Right? Yeah. If you can go and, you're kidnapping a president, that, of course, is not something we would ever do. But it seems to be a very, a very flexible rules-based order. I don't know how flexible it's going to get in future.
That's quite interesting, because India talks to everyone, whether it is the United States, whether it is Russia, Europe, the global south, etc. But in an era of sharper blocks, where does it lead India? And can that flexibility actually last forever, according to you?
Well, it's pretty much lasted us for the last couple of decades. Ever since we had non-alignment, this is a different. He's not talking of non-alignment. We are talking of Whoever works with us, formal groups for X purpose. That's what Jaishankar's foreign policy is all about. You want to work with us on X, we'll work with you. Someone whom you know that country might be on the opposite side of may work with us on something else. So that's what I think that has worked very well for us. Will it be a problem in future? I don't really see how, unless it's, the trade issue is the only thing I can say about Trump is he's quite impartial in terms of the tariffs he levies. It's on everybody, including his allies. We don't believe in alliances. And I think that's worked pretty well for us.
All right. Tarak Artha, thank you very much for speaking with RT India.